Okay, for 1B, we have comparing, ordering, and writing integers. So let's take care of part A here, or problem A. We have parentheses, and we look inside the parentheses, and all we see is the number negative 13. So there's really nothing to do inside the parentheses. So now we take a step back, and this means negative, it means minus, and it can mean the opposite of. You choose whichever one makes the most sense in the context that you're given. So in this case, I think it's easiest to think of this as the opposite of negative 13. The opposite of a negative is going to be a positive. So this winds up being positive 13. We come over here and we have the absolute value symbols. So we ask ourselves, what is the absolute value of negative 13? Well, absolute value is the distance that number is from 0. Distance is always positive, so that is also 13. So I will leave you to figure out what symbol goes in the middle. Coming over here with B, we have the opposite of the absolute value of negative 4. Well, the absolute value of negative 4 is, of course, positive 4. And then we deal with this minus or negative or opposite of. Any way you want to think about it, if you have a negative sign in front of a 4, that is negative 4. You can think of it as the opposite of 4, which is, of course, also negative 4. Coming over here, we have something very similar to what we had in the first part of A. We have the number negative 4 in parentheses with an opposite sign in front of it, or a minus or negative. In this case, it's probably easiest to think of it as the opposite of negative 4, which is, of course, positive 4. And so we're now comparing a negative 4 to a positive 4. All right, for problem C, I'm going to evaluate each one of these, and then I'll let you draw your number line and plot these points. The only one we really don't have anything to do with is C. That is just plain old negative 8, and that's ready to go. The rest of these we need to think about. All right, A is, we have the absolute value of 6, and then we have a negative sign in front, or an opposite sign. So however you want to think about it, the opposite of the absolute value of 6 is negative 6. For B, we have the absolute value of negative 6. So hopefully you see the difference here. In this case, the negative sign is inside the absolute value symbol. So this is the absolute value of negative 6, which is, of course, positive 6. Coming over to D, we have the opposite of the absolute value of negative 3. Well, the absolute value of negative 3 is going to be a positive 3. And then we deal with the opposite of that, which is negative. And the last one, we have negative 10 in parentheses with an opposite sign in front of it. And just to give you a different take on this, if you wanted to think about this as a minus sign, like pretend that there's a number in front, well, what would we need to do? We would need to leave this imaginary first number alone, change the minus into a plus, and make the sign its opposite. So any way you cut it, you're going to get positive 10 for this answer. So our 5 choices or numbers to plot are negative 6, positive 6, negative 8, negative 3, and positive 10.